beautiful sun-drenched beaches of Barbados, favorite playgrounds for Barbadians, and magnets that draw thousands of visitors to our shores every year. But at night, between the months of May and November, these beaches welcome a different kind of visitor, on a different and more serious mission: critically endangered hawksbill turtles in search of a place to nest. These turtles must find space on the dry sand, well above the high tide mark, to make their nests, so that their eggs can incubate undisturbed for the 60 days they take to hatch. Hawksbills like to nest among beach vegetation, perhaps sensing that this signals a safe space out of reach of the roaming waves from the sea.
Millions of years of evolution have honed the behaviors that allow sea turtles to nest successfully and hatchlings to embark on their oceanic journeys. The tiny hatchlings are very sensitive to the short wavelengths of moon and starlight and use this to find their way to the sea. But sea turtles evolved when the beaches were natural and undisturbed and are struggling to survive in this modern world. Barbados has become one of the most important breeding grounds for hawksbills in the world, attracting many nature-loving visitors to the island. This is due in large measure to the conservation actions of the Barbados government and the Barbados Sea Turtle Project of the University of the West Indies. But despite these efforts, the turtles face a new threat that is growing in severity: disappearing beaches. Turtle eggshells littering the beach are a sign that the sea now regularly reaches areas where the turtles nest, as the beach is squeezed out of existence by coastal properties and rising sea levels.
Properties built on the seaward side of the coast road that runs from Oistins to Spitestown compound the problem. Houses, hotels, and restaurants now line the shore. Had the threat of sea level rise been foreseen, many of these properties would not have been built here. Yet the demand for beachfront property remains, and so now, as the turtles journey in search of a place to nest, they encounter solid structures blocking their passage to those areas of the beach safe from the waves. Sometimes they are lucky enough to find parts of the beach which cannot be built on, such as the mouths of gullies. But these places are inherently unstable and often fill with water that washes out after heavy rains before the eggs have had time to hatch. As dry areas become harder and harder to find, turtles begin to dig into each other's nests, breaking the eggs or exposing eggs and hatchlings to predators. The search for dry sand often ends in death. Some turtles fall into concrete drains or become trapped in the boulders used in coastal defenses. Others wander as far as the road and are killed by passing vehicles. Tiny emerging hatchlings, often confused by bright lights from the road, are crushed under the wheels of the relentless traffic.
The Barbados Sea Turtle Project works hard to save nests that are under threat by moving them to more secure locations. But this is not a long-term, sustainable solution. Urgent action is needed to allow sea turtles to find safe places to nest if they are going to continue nesting on Barbados's beaches into the future. What are the solutions? First and foremost, remaining wide beaches must be conserved and managed in such a way that they become sea turtle friendly. Most existing wide beaches are lined by hotels and currently managed solely for the benefit of visitors. Problems include bright lights that disorient hatchlings, failure to stack beach chairs at night so that dry areas of the beach can be used by nesting turtles, planting of inappropriate species like palms, whose roots are an impediment to nesting, and the use of mechanical beach cleaners that crush vulnerable eggs. The problems caused by the lights can be addressed by the use of light fixtures that carry low-pressure sodium bulbs. These emit longer wavelengths that are less attractive to sea turtles. Lights can be fitted with shade so that bulbs are not directly visible from the beach. Use of motion-sensitive lights and the planting of vegetation to screen lights are all viable solutions. But there are other measures that need to be taken as well. Along many parts of the coast, boulders have been laid down or seawalls built to protect properties. These boulders become covered with a thin layer of sand, giving the impression of a stable beach. But the sand is not deep enough to allow sea turtles to dig a nest, and so, during a time when they must conserve their energy for egg production, turtles can waste hours expending precious energy in fruitless digging. Their futile efforts clearly visible the following day.
When solid property boundaries prevent turtles from reaching those precious few meters higher on the beach, so vital for successful hatching of eggs, the urge to nest is so strong that the turtles will attempt to force themselves on the fences, becoming trapped or falling into construction ditches. It is imperative, therefore, that wherever possible, owners should consider using soft property boundaries such as hedges or post and chain fences that allow sea turtles access to those critical few meters of dry sand they need to nest.
When choosing plants, property owners should select native species rather than exotic ornamentals, as plants that have evolved to live on tropical beaches are adapted to hold sand around their roots, reducing beach erosion. Ironically, the man-made structures erected to protect beach properties may in fact increase the rate at which beaches are lost, a loss not just for sea turtles, but for everyone. These vertical structures increase wave turbulence, causing scouring away of the sand, and, eventually, even seawalls will crumble with the force of the sea. When the wave's energy is instead weakened by running up the shore, this helps to conserve sand, so using soft boundary options can allow a new beach to form, itself also a form of property defense.
Not all threats to survival of the sea turtles are caused by physical developments along the coast, and even those of us who do not live along the beach can help to conserve sea turtle habitats. Bonfires pose a threat to incubating eggs and can attract hatchlings to a fiery fate. Beach users should avoid making fires on the beach during the months of the nesting season and make sure that they are put out completely before leaving the beach.
The destructive habit of driving on the beach kills vegetation, compacts the sand, and creates ruts that hatchlings fall into and crawl along, trapped, desperately trying but never reaching the sea. Garbage is another lethal enemy of the sea turtle. Broken glass slashes digging flippers and emerging hatchlings. Plastic objects are inadvertently dug into the sand while eggs are being laid, later to trap emerging hatchlings, or are eventually blown into the sea where they are eaten by turtles who mistake them for food.
Garbage is also a magnet for rats and mongoose, luring them to the beach to prey on turtle eggs and the helpless hatchlings. Dogs too. They kill several nesting turtles each year, so owners need to ensure that dogs are kept away from the beach at night. Critically endangered sea turtles face a myriad of human-induced threats to their nesting beaches, which will only worsen with climate change and rising sea levels.
Helping sea turtles survive these threats requires the involvement of all Barbadians and visitors to our shores.
Sea turtles have nested on Barbados for thousands of years.
If the threats that have arisen over the past few decades are ignored, the bond that connects these ancient mariners to our shores may be broken forever.